Hello again, everyone. So I wanted to show you what it would look like when you get in to start tagging your document. So once the clients have all passed the KBAs, you will have access to the document while they're sitting in the Zoom waiting room. And this is what you'll be able to do. You'll be able to come in here and look at the document and see what you're dealing with. And once you are comfortable with it, you can move forward. So at this point, I'm looking, it's a power of attorney. And so now it will connect to this screen. And in the software, you just hit next. It will already have the email addresses filled in. So I am using the test database, so it's not auto-populating for me. So I'm just going to kind of fill this in with email addresses. One moment here. You can move signatures around if you know this is this person and that is that person, and you are able to configure that yourself. The notary is always the last one on the list. If you have looked at that document and you go, oh, it needs a another page, and say I'm doing a certification, so I'm going to say copy. So we need to add a copy certification in here. I can add that document here. And that is how this works. A couple of important notes up here in the top right. Do not click Add Me. That is the system, and the system cannot sign the document. So do not click Add Me. All right, so then you would hit Next. It is going to process the document and bring it up to the point where you can start tagging it. At this point, it will auto-configure the fields so that you can customize them, or you can leave them exactly how they are and tell the clients, here's what you need to fill in. In this instance, we are going to right-click this field and hit Edit, and we can see that it's assigned to anyone. Any one of the signers can fill this in. It's a text field. It's not required. It's not read-only. It's not multi-line. It has no default value. So since this pertains to the principal, who is the first signer on this list, we are going to select that signer. And since I don't know where they are, I'm going to put required. And now I'm going to move down. Now, as a rule of thumb, best practice, I always put a transaction number on the documents. And for my own personal validation, I always have the principal initial every page. And what I'm doing here is I dragged the initials, I'm right-clicking it, and I'm hitting repeat on all of the pages. So now you can see it has filled in all the pages in the same spot for the entire document. All right, so now, and you can see down at the bottom that copy certification got put in there. So it just follows suit. You cannot add a page in the middle of a document. So if you're adding an acknowledgement into the middle of something, you'll have to make note on that acknowledgement for which page it was for. All right, so now that's all there is on the first page. The second page, we can go over here to the signer fields and we can say name, drag it, and you can shape these. I can make the name huge, small, it will print however it is. I am appointing the following person as my agent. Well, we know that the third person on here is the agent, so we can drag and drop their name, and we know that their email is configured on here, so we can just drag and drop that. That'll help save the principal some information. So we are going to let the agent fill out their address, and we're going to let the agent fill out their phone number. In this instance, it's just a one agent job and I happen to know that ahead of time. We're just going to say I do. So that is all deleted. If you needed to fill those in, you would just leave you could go over here and say text input and put that in here. You can assign it to the principal and you can right click it and copy the field and copy the field, copy the field, and copy the field. Now, one thing you don't want to do on something like this is you notice there's a clone field. If you clone the field, it's going to, when you enter the information into the first field, it's going to repeat it in all of the fields that are cloned. So if I put 5 of these clones on here and I type A in that first one, let's see here if I can do this, if it'll do it, test. See, it's going to auto-populate that field with that information onto every single one that's cloned. So definitely only clone when you know that that field is going to be exactly the same, because no one can change it in field A versus field B when it's cloned. So just copy it if you're going to have multiple fields. Now, these are supposed to be initials and those turned into checkboxes. So we're going to delete those. Just going to go down here, just hit delete, 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 delete. There we go. All right. Now, this is a power of attorney and each principal has the option to give the power or not. None of them are required. So if you don't know what their intentions are for these, you will edit, take the required off, and then we can just copy it and put it on here. So boom, 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 copy, copy. Now, something you can do here, if you're OCD like me, you can click and hold the copy and hold the control button down and click all of these fields. This L-shaped bracket at the top that says match both width and height, that's going to make them all the same size. And then you can say, I want them to align left. So now they're going to be perfectly straight on the page. It really depends on your time and your level of OCD. It is not a requirement as long as you have it all on here. That is all that really matters. So keep that in mind. Be as pretty as you want to be, but it is not mandatory. So we can do click, 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 click. I'm holding the control button. Oops. Control, click, 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 click. Same size, align left, voila. And now here's more powers. So we're going to copy that one and do it again. I would use one that has a whole bunch of examples here. So click, 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 click. Same size, line left, boom. Now in these edit fields here, you can see tools. You can, repeat, copy, different kind of things. So we're just going to cancel out of that one. Here's something interesting. So we're going to go into this text box and hit edit. And here in some of these fields, depending on the type of text input it is, you can change the font. You can change the size of the font. You can say I want it centered or left or right aligned. I can change the color. Say I want the font to be red in that box. So we're going to just kind of put some words in there. So you can see it turned it red. It's aligned to the right-hand side. Again, totally up to you and how OCD you are about what it looks like. Now we can drag and drop the signature. We can drag and drop their name. I'm going to delete this box because I want the date to auto-populate here. I'm going to hit edit here if I want to, and I can change the way the date is formatted on the page. It is standard as the month is spelled out, the day and the year. That is the default. We're going to edit and say required for this principal's address. Oh, make sure we add it to the principal on here. So we're going to go back up here and edit and say it goes to the principal, not anyone. Now we're going to say the date and the name of the principal. And then we're going to edit this field, and it's the witness, and it's required. So we're going to go over here and we're going to drop it down to the witness, signature, and name. And now we're going to say the next witness, or actually this is the agent. So we're not going to do that. We're going to pretend that there's what we'll do here. So now, so we are going to pretend the notary can do this twice. So in this instance, this is not a notarial signature. So we're just going to drag and drop the signature. And we're going to drop the name. And we're going to say edit. And it's required by the notary. So you see, as I change the names of who's in charge of that field, it changes the color scheme. So this is the principals. That's everything the principal is going to fill out. This is the witness. Notice everything grayed out except for the witness signature. These didn't gray out because I didn't assign them to anyone, but I didn't make them required either. So leaving them alone is fine. If you want to assign them, you can. And now we're going to the agent and then the notary. So now we're under the notary, and this notary happens to be Ohio. So we're going to say edit, read only, and I'm going to X out Georgia, and I'm going to say Ohio. And then I'm going to drag and drop and say Franklin. And I always make it read only so that I don't have to worry about it. We go to signer info and we say date, signature fields. We are going to put a digital signature here. The stamp. We're going to go back up to the principal and we're going to drag their name here. And that is all she wrote for that document. Since we added this document, actually, here we go. This is the agent acceptance. So I'm going to delete these fields and we're going to go to the agent and we are going to say their name and we're going to shape it and then their signature. This field I added, so I'm not going to do anything with, but you can see there's a signature block. And the signature block consists of the signature of the person, their printed name and date and time of their signature, as well as their email address. You can see, you can add a title, you can add a company. Now, one thing that I have found helpful, if you have a document where it's state of, county of, and you've got 2 or 3 of them for you, you could put a title here for the state under the notary code. And then for company, you could put that for county. And when you go to fill it in, you type it once and it'll auto-populate on all of them. So that's very helpful for me. As you can see here, you've got name, you've got email, you've got date. Under data fields, we've got a text input. You can shape that. If you right click it and edit, you can say it's multi-line, it's required, it's read only if you want to populate it. So that is there. I have never used a drop-down menu in one of these, but you could make it a drop-down menu. So they have to pick one of those items. Check boxes, they're really great for checking online notarization. So I do read only checked. You can change the color. Voila. And again, when I do those, I can clone it and I could stick them wherever I want, and they're already checked for me, so I don't have to worry about it. Another thing I absolutely love are these radio buttons. So when you have a document that they have to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, whichever selection, you can drag these in front of them and you could say, okay, edit, it's required, it's a checkbox. Now notice you can change the design of these. Check, a circle, across, a diamond, a square, or a star. I like check. Circle's fine, square's fine, an X is good. You know, the other ones are kind of pretty full for a notarized document, but you know, to each their own. So then they have to pick one of these boxes when they go to do it. The participation stamp, it actually gives the name, their signing and approval time. So the actual time and date that that person physically applied their signature to this document gets put on here, and then their email address. You can add that to any document. And then of course the Adobe transaction number, which is a secondary validation point, and I highly recommend putting that on every document. So those are the fields that you can put into a document. And once you are done tagging it, you would be able to launch the Zoom session and join your waiting participants. If you have any issues once you join the session, there is a cancellation button. You can hit cancel the transaction and it would stop everything. And then thirdly, as soon as you're done and all of this is notarized, there is a button to complete the transaction and allocate the charges. Now, in this instance, you are going to keep track of how many times you put your notary stamp or notary signature in a digital signature and stamp on the document. In this instance, it's one time. So when you go to complete this transaction, you would say that I administered one stamp or one seal, and it will calculate the charges for the client. And that is how you will tag a document on the platform. Thank you guys and have a good evening.